All right, so this is part three. As I was saying before, so a lot of the stuff that she said to me during this. So I think I left off in my last video where she she was in the middle of her breakdowns, and this was going on all summer into the fall. But during that time, what happened was she would pick apart everything about the dogs and then focus on something else, and then all the other stuff she had issues with died down. So I was always on edge, wondering what was going to be the problem. Um, so a lot of the stuff that she said, I mean, this is going to sound crazy. I met her out once to talk about stuff, and we got some food or something, and she told me she doesn't know what happens when she gets in those modes, and something in her head, not voices, she said, but something tells her to do things. And she said she has thoughts of slitting throats, poisoning animals, cutting brake lines, harming people. Um, and she says she would never act on those thoughts. So immediately that was like a red flag. I mean, yeah, it's a red flag. And I really didn't know at the time how to process that. It really bothered me, and I felt like I wanted to try and help understand it, which is why I stuck around a lot. But um, yeah, that those things were extremely. She say she had those thoughts. Um, other arguments we would get in where she would fly off the handle and go in rages, and she would say things to me like, "It's be better off if you never had a dog. I hate your dogs." Um, and she included my mom's dog in that, and who was about the same size as my dog. I wish they were never around. It'd be better if you didn't have any dogs. I wish they would just choke. And that is really like those thoughts and things that she says are borderline psychotic to me. Like normal people don't say that stuff. And when I would bring up, I was patient during these times, of course, and I was still weary about her and trusting her, which again she would fly off the handle when I would bring that up, because again that's blaming um, her, uh, not a sense in blaming, but putting the issue on her, which she couldn't handle. She would always tell me, this is my problem, meaning it's her problem. She would say, and she can't handle all that pressure on her. That the relationship is on depends on her. So she just can't handle it. So um, a lot of the times after those thoughts, I would tell her, don't you realize what you're saying? I mean, and even when you're in those modes and those rages, if you can't control what you say, how come you don't apologize to me afterwards? How come you don't make it so I feel okay? And how come you don't make me feel better about anything? And again, like I said in my last video, things would just fly over her head, and she wouldn't really make me feel better. She would say, "I'm sorry." She would say, "I know I've said some mean things," but again, those are words, and actions never came into play. And a lot of the times she would say, I say things when I get in my rages and in my modes. I say words, and I can't control it. So that was sort of like in my mind an excuse of why she was doing what she was doing. Um, and that those kind of words just really, it hit me. And then when I would lash out at her because of how she was acting, and I would say something out of character like, "You should go find somebody without a dog." Oh my God, the world would end. The world would fucking end. It's like she would never let that go. She was, "That really hurt me. That really hurt me." And then she would say things like, I want you to talk to me with respect." That she goes, "Sometimes I don't like your tone." And I was just like, I was taken aback. I was just, are you serious right now? And that's when I started to realize that this girl really cannot put herself in somebody else's shoes, and she cannot really understand how somebody else feels or treat somebody how you want to be treated. I mean, she couldn't. I mean, literally could not do it. So it was mind blowing, the things that she would say to me. I can ramble up the list right now. She would say, you know, fuck off, fuck you, go to hell, have a nice life with your dogs. She would say stuff like, the bitch is out, you win, dog, as if she was talking to the dog, you know, through text. She would big capital letters, you win, dog, like there's a competition between her and the dog or something. And yeah, just mean spirited words that I would never, in this whole relationship, I never said fuck you to her. I never said fuck off. I never said anything like that, because it's just not what I do. I respect the girl that I'm with. I respect the people, you know, that I'm close to, and especially the girl that I'm with. I would never say those things to her, and I would tell her that too. I said the same thing. I would say, I would never say that to you ever. I would never tell you to fuck off ever. But you know, again, she would not. She would just be silent. You know, it's like she didn't know how to respond to my words, that I was expressing my feelings and my hurt to her. So it gets very frustrating and very repetitive, and the cycle of conversation continues, because it'll always come back around and somehow be on me, that I didn't do something, or I did something to cause this. And you know, that makes a normal person crazy, because it's not true. You know, she would always tell me, I defend you all the time through my therapist and my family. I defend you. And I would say, well, if you defend me, then why is your therapist telling you to end the relationship, because this is toxic? Even though it was toxic, she didn't see that it's toxic because of her and her actions and her behavior. She couldn't see that. So why would you only have to defend somebody if there's something to defend them about? Like if you're telling them something that's not true, or if they believe something that's not true, that's the only way that you have to defend somebody. So why would you even have to defend me if I'm doing absolutely nothing wrong but trying to get you to respect me and to have a normal relationship? It's not my fault that your parents and everybody around you enables your behavior. I mean, it's just utmost, it's just ridiculous. And that aside, there was one time I was FaceTiming her, which really sticks in my mind. And I was on my floor or something. I was actually playing with the dogs at the time when she called. And you know, at one point the dog, you know, walked past the phone, and he came into view. And whatever, we finished the conversation and everything. And then she told me afterwards that when she saw the dog, it literally pissed her off when he walked by the view. It literally pissed her off. And another time, I was laying down FaceTiming her, and the dog just came up and laid down next to me. I think you saw like maybe half of his body, and she knew he was there. And you know, she blamed me for that I'm insensitive, that why would I let the dog come into view, and why would I let him sit down next to me? And she was like, that pissed her off, and I should have known, better. I remember her saying that, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, seriously? And when I would act like that's ridiculous, like that's totally, utterly ridiculous that you're acting this way, she would get pissed off, fly off the handle, and it's like I couldn't feel that way. Like I couldn't, it was just, man, ridiculous. And back to some other stuff that she said to me. This one time she was out, I don't know, she was out with her friends drinking or something, and this was before she got drunk on that night, but she told me that I'm the best guy that's she's ever been with, and that I'm the only guy that she's been with that's been worth ever giving anything for, like in terms of compromise and whatnot. But then she goes on to say, but I don't want to give, and I don't want to compromise, because I did that in my past relationships, and I don't want to do that anymore. And I felt like I should have said, and I felt like saying, well, what the fuck are you doing in a relationship then? Is there something new in a relationship? Is this something new where you don't have to give and you don't have to compromise? Is that a new life of relationships? I don't really know. So that was insane. And a lot of the stuff she said that night, she was drunk, and she was like, I can't wait till your dogs die and you feel pain. She goes, that'll be a happy day for me when you're holding your dog's lifeless body in your arms and you cry. And I don't give passes for that. I don't give passes for being drunk and saying that shit. I don't give passes for myself for allowing her to say that and talking to her after she said that stuff. But I was in the situation again. My mind was controlled and manipulated, and I couldn't break away from it. And the next day, she did say she was surprised I was talking to her based on what she said, because she said there's no way to apologize for what she said, and she was sick to her stomach when she reread it the next morning, which was probably the most heartfelt apology I've ever gotten. But again, words, words, never actions, so she would just continue. It would just continue the process. I would talk to her after that, and she would not, she would not show me anything. So basically, this went on for 4 months. We're talking like July till probably end of October, early November. So a lot of the stuff that happened, I felt like she wasn't hearing me. She wasn't listening to me. It's always me, 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 me. Every time I talk to her, again, it's like what she needs, this, what she needs that. And I got to the point where she wanted me to only see her at her house and not my house. And then the situation of the dogs changed. And she said her issue is with me. She's not comfortable with me now. Well, you're not comfortable with me because you created this fucking saga. So how are we going to fix it? Because everything I'm doing is basically on your terms and what you want. Nothing is what I want, and what kills me is she would admit to being selfish. She would admit to all this nonsense and still not change her behavior towards me. She would still make me feel like I have to do this to make her feel better. I was essentially chasing her for 4 months, 3.5, 4 months, about a problem that she had. And she did not make any effort to make me feel better and to help me solve the problem. I was willing to help her and willing to be there for her, but she was just stuck in her ways. It was her way or no way. And it essentially was that way for a long time, for like 3.5 months. I really felt like I was getting nothing from her, no support from her, no support from her family. And it just got to the point where it just literally drained me. It drained me to no end. And if the apologies were backed up with actions, that would have been totally fine. But the things that she said, and I've told her this up until probably a good 2 weeks before I went no contact. I told her, I need you to be patient with me and to be, help me. I need you to help me and be patient, because you created this and I need you to help me make it better. You need to assure me. You need to help me if you want this to get better. And she never did. She never could. A lot of the times when she would fly off the handle, it was like she couldn't understand why I wasn't okay, or why I wouldn't be able to give affection or act lovey like a normal relationship. She couldn't understand that. And when I told her, I said, I can't just jump back into things after everything that's gone on and everything that you did. You need to help me make it better. You need to be patient with me, and it will come back if you're, truthful in wanting this and showing me that you want it and making me feel that you want it, because right now it's just keep going around in a circle and I can't just jump back into that like that. And she couldn't understand that. She would get pissed off at me if I would act weird or if I couldn't, be normal. And you're in a lose-lose situation. So you lose if you act one way and you lose if you act another. So if I act irritated and act mad, she gets pissed off. If I don't act irritated and don't act mad, but I try to reason with her and tell her, how I feel without getting aggravated, you lose there because you're not being, the normal relationship self. So I like things solved. I don't like having a problem looming over my head. I could not go see her and just see her outside of my house on an if she'll ever be okay being around my dog. And she would go back and forth and telling me she can't give me answers. She can't assure me of anything. She doesn't know if she'll ever be okay. She doesn't know. And, that sort of pissed me off because the girl goes to friends' houses and hangs out with friends' dogs and she's okay with them, but she's got an issue with my dog. And apparently nobody in her fucking life has told her, oh my gosh, you had a problem with a boyfriend 6 years ago with his dog. Now you have a problem with this guy and his dog. Maybe the problem is you. Maybe that's the issue we need to work on. Maybe it's not him, but apparently nobody in her life gives a fuck enough to tell her that or to help her work on that. They just say, get rid of him because that's the fucking issue. And that's how I felt. And nobody supported me on her side through that. Nobody, and it's a real issue because she had another relationship after that. So she had a 2-year relationship after that. So this is 2 exes ago that she's bringing into this relationship. But apparently nobody seems to think that's the problem. She can apparently do whatever she wants to get her way, say whatever she wants to me to get her way. And I'm just supposed to sit there and take it all and not have her show me any action or sorry about that, guys. Phone call interrupted the video. But yeah, I'll wrap it up. Again, like it's apparently that was okay, just to do whatever she had to do. And it's a lot of the stuff that she said. Oh, another thing that she said, when she used to have thoughts about her ex's dog, she used to just look at him and glare at him. And glare. Like, just sit there and glare at him. Not act on anything, but glare. Now that's a crazy, insane thought as well. So, I stutter because I still can't process it, I still can't fathom all that stuff that happened and the stuff that she said and the looks that she would give, and it's just insane. So I'm gonna get going now. I'll wrap it up in my last video on how I actually got to no contact, and it's still a struggle, but I'll touch base on that in the final video. So thanks guys for watching.